finally doing another interview. I'm so excited because I'm sitting down with Miss Bertha J. Banks, and we've known each other for about 5 years now. We did street ministry together at our church, but she just wrote a book entitled "If You Only Knew My Story" by Bertha J. Banks, and I want to talk to her more about it and give her a chance to tell you all about it. So, Miss Bertha, it's so exciting to sit down with you, and I'm excited to talk about this book. But listen, first, can you tell us more about the book and about the title?
Yeah, thank you, Carissa. I'm so glad to be here and for you having me. The title of this book, If You Only Knew My Story.
Mm-hmm.
And I chose that title because it was one that it really brought a lot of memories up to me from my sister. And once the people get the book, then they'll understand more why I wrote this book.
Okay.
And why I used that title. And I wrote this book because, as a child growing up, I lived on the plantation.
See, that blew me away when I read that. Page 7 is the first page. I was like, plantation. Okay, I'm sorry.
It was a cotton field plantation.
Okay.
And a lot of people say that you don't look like you that old enough to live on a plantation.
That's what I thought.
But I get God to praise for that because He's the one that can keep them.
Yeah.
So if God keeps you, you can be kept. But anyway, getting back to why I wrote this story is because I lived on the plantation, and that's things that we had to do. We were on the cotton farm, and we planted cotton. We plant the cotton in the spring, and then in the summer we hold the cotton, and in the fall we harvest the cotton. So after that we took it, harvest the cotton, and then we got what was left for us to have for the rest of the winter and back into the spring. So once you read the book, then it'll give you more in detail about living on the plantation and the things that I grew up until I got 16 years old on the plantation.
That is unbelievable because my dad, so growing up, he grew up in Virginia. I grew up in Virginia. But he told me about a couple of times when he went to go help his mom and they were working on the cotton field. And it sounds like that was incredibly hard work. So when I read your first page, I thought, I got to know more about this. But anyway, so what inspired you to write the book?
Well, God inspired me to write this book.
Well, I know that, but
back in 2013, He brought me because I was keeping a journal, writing out things that had happened to me in my life and things that I experienced and things that I went through and the problem that it caused me and all that. And so I started writing this book, and then I would write it, then I would stop. And then I would start back writing the book again, then I would stop again. Because, I knew it was something that I wanted to do, but it just seemed like it wasn't no rush about me doing it. So it come down to 2019, and God just kept prompting me, telling me, you need to write this book. I'm like, okay, Lord. So I would get slow about it. Then it got close down to the end. He said, you need to get this book done before the beginning of next year. So by me being obedient to God's voice and what He said and tell me to do, I went on and did what He asked me to do. And I finished up this book the last part of December. And in February, I think it was around about February the 5th, that's when I called the publishing company, and then talked to them about, publishing this book.
Well, I'm excited. I'm glad that you were obedient. Because listen, when you get the book, you'll understand why it's such a blessing. But, I'm really curious. In chapter 15, and I want to flip to it. I had some markers here. You were telling the story about a lie that somebody told on you. And this caused, somebody else to lose their life. But ultimately, that whole experience pushed you to come back to the Lord. But can you tell us more about that?
Yes. Actually, I can, Carissa, because for the simple facts, I wanted to come back to the Lord before this happened, and I was searching Him, and it just seemed like I just couldn't find the place and the way that to come back to the Lord. And so I would just pray to Him. And so after this happened to me in the book on page 15, it brought me back to God because I was at a place where I couldn't go nowhere else but to God. Because you can get into a place in your life where a tragedy happen, when things happen into your life, you don't have nowhere else to look to but look to God.
That's
And
true.
see, when you look unto God, things will not go wrong. And I just thank God. I'm not thankful because this friend of mine lost his life due to a lie. I'm not happy about that. But God knows everything. And he knows when it's time for you to come on back home. And that was a wake-up call to me. And I hope, this book be a wake-up call to a lot of you other women out there. Also, he can be a wake-up call to men too. Because men endure, they go through things too in life, just like women's, because a lot of men, they have their children where the women don't have the children. The men have the children. They're raising the children. So, it'll be a blessing to men, women, young teenagers, because they're going through a loss right now. And then there's some things in here could help them stir them on the right path.
That's true. I definitely believe that in terms of this book helping men, women, children, teenagers, all types of people. And I know that in the book you share stories about domestic violence and also, infidelity in marriage, all types of things. And, I'm curious is when you talk about those experiences, what encouragement would you give to somebody who's going through that right now?
I would encourage you to get out. That's the first thing I would encourage, tell you to get out, because you don't have to live that way. Because God didn't make us to live and get abused. He didn't make us to get beat up by, men, for them to boss us around and do us any type of way. I would advise any lady, if you're afraid, don't be afraid to reach out, because there is someone out there to always be able to help you. And I myself, being a abused person that went through domestic violence and abuse in my life, I can also, help people to get back on track, to get your life back, because in this point, a lot of people, they don't even have a life because they are so torn between the past, the hurt and the pain that they endure from that husband, that spouse, abusing them. They don't have no direction, and they just feel like that they are lost, or either they stuck where they are. You don't have to be stuck where you are. Jesus is the answer. And that's why he sent people along that done went through these things, to be able to tell you that you don't have to stay there. You don't have to go through this. And you can make sure that you get your life together, get your life straightened out, so you can be one of the ones that can help other women or men, help, as well, to get their life back together and don't live in that same, predicament that, you lived in, because God done freed me from it. And I know I'm free, and I'm able now to talk about it. And I can tell people now, you don't have to live like that. Don't be afraid to speak up, because don't be ashamed of what people can say about you. Because Jesus said in his word, if you be ashamed of me before the Father, I'll be ashamed of you before the world. And if they talked about Jesus Christ, well, who are we? We are his children. So, we have to stand up for one another and be, women that gonna be not afraid to speak out, because this day and time, women, you don't have to sit back and be afraid and shame, because they can say that if you go out and telling all this, your story and all that. So what? This is my story. This is my life.
And I think it'll be a real blessing to people, because not only do you talk about the work that God did to free you and to help you throughout, all the challenges that you experienced after that, but you also are very honest in the book about exactly what was happening, how you were feeling, and the people that God sent along to encourage you and to help get out. So, again, you talk about the Lord and his work throughout all of this book, and miracles that he's worked through you, and healings that you've seen with other people.
Testimonies.
And lots of things. So I'm curious, what encouragement would you give to someone who right now is, facing a lot of life challenges and ready to give up on God?
I would tell you, don't give up. John 3:16 said, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. I advise you to reach out to God, because he is the answer. And he also has people that can help you and assist you and be there to help you to get through this crisis that you're going through. I advise you, don't give up. Don't give up on life, because there's so many women, they want to commit suicide. Yes. Don't think about suicide. Jesus is the answer, and he will see you through it, because that's a lot of nights I cried out. And I also had someone that, I could go on and I could talk to anytime I need someone to talk to, day or night, to be there for me and to help me get through it. Because it wasn't something that I got through by myself. It was Jesus, and then he used a pastor friend of mine to help me and to be there for me, and I could call them anytime and talk to them. So if you want to get in touch with me and call me and talk to me, I'll be happy to talk to you and help you, come back to where you should be. Okay. And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to get closure in your life, because everybody needs to get closure in their life to be able to move on. Because in order for you to get closure, you got to first admit where you have been abused and what you have went through and what you still going through and what you still you got to admit this before you can get help. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you're an ordained and licensed minister too, right? Yes, I am. Okay. Evangelist. So she's an evangelist. So she's not just out here, willing to give support and encouragement like on her own. She also has had lots and lots of training. And so, again, the book, If You Only Knew My Story by Bertha J. Banks. It's an incredible story. As you read it, you'll find yourself like me, I'm sure, thinking, I didn't know she went through that. Is this all about the same person? Because it is an incredible story of God's faithfulness throughout her life, from the beginning of her life all the way up until now. But Miss Bertha, tell the people how they can get a copy of the book. Sure, Carissa. You can go out on Amazon and go up under If You Only Knew My Story by Bertha J. Banks and click on. Or you can go to Barnes & Noble and type in If You Only Knew My Story, Bertha J. Banks. I will soon have out the iTunes, which will be the ebook. Oh, okay. Yeah. So it is soon to come, real soon, and you can be able to, for the ones that like to listen to it, you'll be able to listen to it as well. And also, if you want to go out on YouTube and review the trailer, you can also go out on If You Only Knew My Story. What I'll do is I'll put the link to that in the description box of the video, so people can click on it. Yeah. And I'll put the link to, there's a Facebook page. Yes. So if you want to get in contact with Miss Bertha or write a review and let her know how the book has been a blessing in your life, you can contact her through that. But those details will be in the description box of this video. Yeah. But Miss Bertha, anything else you want to tell the people before we go? Just keep the faith. If you're not saved and you don't know Jesus Christ as your Savior, I advise you to give him a try in your life. I guarantee you that will be something that you will never forget. And it'll be something that you always have to share and talk about where God brought you from and how he helped you and saved you. So I thank you. Thanks again, Miss Bertha. So again, check out the book, and maybe I'll do more of these